1998, 1999, 2000. I'm already feeling like the strongest man on Earth.
It's me, Goku!
Huh?
It's me, Goku! It's me, Goku! It's me, Goku!
Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are reviewing another game that was developed by CC2. Wait a minute. This wasn't on purpose. I wanted to review the game Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, not only because it's one of my favorite series of all time, it also had some pretty decent games that came out over the years. Some were major hits for me, like Raging Blast 2, Budokai Tenkaichi 3, Xenoverse 2, and of course, Fighters. Other times we were given games like Ultimate Tenkaichi, Battle of Z, and Connect.
Yeah, so much DBZ!
But this isn't a review on those games. This is a review on DBZ Kakarot, a game developed by CC2, the same creators that made the Storm series and the brand new Demon Slayer game. So, was this the game that us Dragon Ball fans have been waiting for? Has CC2 managed to develop a game different from the Storm series? Did they remember to include characters that Akira Toriyama probably forgot? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. The review. It's a working title, but besides that, let's get straight into it. Starting off with the... Okay. Let's get one thing straight before we begin. This game is called Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, okay? Z. You see that? Not GT, not Super, and not Dragon Ball. This is focused on DBZ. Cool? Great. Considering the fact that this game was created by the same developers that made the Storm games, I was surprised to find out that this game was going to be an action RPG rather than an arena fighter. It was super exciting to get something similar to the Legacy of Goku series, but to a much higher scale. If you're not familiar with the Legacy of Goku games, it was another action RPG on the Game Boy Advance. I used to play those games heavily when I was younger, and it was actually really good for its time. When it comes to this game, there's a decent amount of things to do. There's the combat, which I think for the most part was... okay. There really wasn't much variety to the attacks when it came to fighting enemies, which left me spamming circle as I racked up points for my combos alongside using my special attacks when needed. I do wish we weren't forced to fight while flying the whole time though, because not all the fights in DBZ took place while in the air. It's just awkward looking when I knock down an opponent and I'm just hovering over them like, yeah. You see how I knocked your ass down? Get up so I can do it again. And even though the combat system isn't something that I'm highly fond of, they did do a pretty good job dealing with the transformations. When you do, your characters actually feel more powerful when pummeling your enemies. CC2 also brought in beam clashes, which is always a nice touch when it comes to this series. I mean, it's Dragon Ball. You gotta have the beam clashes. Of course, after every battle, you are rewarded with Z-Orbs, which you can use to learn skills in the skill tree. I think this was the developers' attempt at making this game quote-unquote grindy. But I feel like once you get one or even two good moves, the game becomes pretty easy. Well, I mean of course if you're a high enough level and don't get smacked by the CPU. There's also training that you can also do to level up, alongside progressing through the story and quests, which can be extremely helpful when it comes to collecting XP and you're not trying to fight the same robots 50 times. It's nice to see that this was the direction CC2 went, because there really is potential behind the gameplay. If they were to make a sequel, I feel like the combat and the RPG system should have major improvements, with even more mechanics to keep you engaged during the fights and grinding levels. But what should the sequel be focused on? Super? GT? OG Dragon Ball? CC2, forget Demon Slayer. I need a new Kakarot game ASAP. Before Kakarot was announced, I remember a lot of people in the Dragon Ball community wanting an open world Dragon Ball game. And to see that it's finally here, I'm be honest, I kinda liked it. For the most part. I like the fact that there was a lot of areas that could be explored, and within these areas, you can explore caves, villages, cities, and areas outside of the Earth, like King Kai's planet, Namek, and even the land of the Kais. If it were up to me, I'd include Snake Road in the mix, but hey, we can't all be winners. I think it's cool that they included a lot of areas that was originally a part of the anime and would often visit them to see characters from the series. Places like Kame House, Capsule Corp, Kami's Lookout, and even the World Tournament Arena are all fun locations to check out when exploring. It's nice to know that the developers really paid attention to set areas and even gave us opportunities to meet all sorts of interesting characters. But it's not all perfect. There's still some noticeable bugs found in certain areas, like seeing a clone of the same character. And I also didn't like how whenever you did explore, you would hear the same dialogue over and over again because there was an enemy out in the open.
Might cause some trouble later. Best to deal with this now. Might cause some trouble later. Best to deal with this now. Might cause some trouble later. Best to deal with. Shut up!
¿A quién estás diciendo shut up tú? ¿A mí me estás diciendo shut up?
Like, I'm just trying to fly around. Stop interrupting me when I'm clearly much stronger than you. You can even collect the Dragon Balls that are scattered all over the map. Once you collect all 7, you are granted up to 3 wishes, depending on how far in the story you've gotten. You can wish back old enemies you fought to test out your strength, which is kind of petty if you think about it. Imagine getting killed by a dude, then getting revived just for him to beat your ass again. You can also wish for more money, Z-orbs, and even rare items to help you throughout your playthrough. Once you've used up all your wishes, the Dragon Balls scatter all over the map and can be searched for after 20 minutes of real life time. So stack your money up, folks, cause we getting rich. Oh, and I almost forgot. You can do other activities as well, like going fishing. Some characters are just given a regular fishing rod, but if you're a Chad like Goku and Gohan, you just shove a tail right up your ass and fish just like that. You're also able to play baseball, drive around the city in a vehicle, and even fly on the Nimbus. I'm glad that we were given the chance to explore all over these areas and do so many different activities. What makes it even better is being able to explore as different. To start things off, DBZ Kakarot created a feature for you to select one character you can play as and 2 other characters that will assist you throughout your playthrough. It truly felt like you were with the Z Fighters considering how many times you jump your enemies before they know what hit them. With what we were given, it's pretty disappointing seeing how many characters were playable and how many were actually just support types. I would have enjoyed exploring the world with characters like Goten, Kid Trunks, Krillin, Tien, Chaozu, and Android 18. But we were only able to play as Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, and future Trunks. Don't get me wrong, I do like being able to use the characters we were given, and they all have their own unique movesets that I really like, but I can't help thinking how much of a missed opportunity it was for the developers to not make everyone playable. I found myself rarely including any support characters in my party after the story because most of their skills weren't up to par with the characters that are playable. The only times I would use support characters would be if I had Goten and Kid Trunks in my party and would have them fuse to play as Gotenks. But at the same time, Goku and Vegeta can also fuse as Vegito, and I personally found him more enjoyable to play as. Regardless though, fusion characters are strong as hell, and it's a shame that this update just came out recently. It most definitely should have been something in the game since launch, so the fact that players that bought the game previously had to wait over a year is ridiculous. I just wish we were able to explore as Gotenks and Vegito, but of course that wouldn't really make much sense considering there's a time limit for the both of them. Also, not being able to explore as Super Saiyans was another missed opportunity. When you transform mid-battle, your ki depletes as you fight, so I guess that's the excuse the developers have created for them to not stay transformed. It truly is unfortunate. Huh? So then why in the end though, characters like Goku and Vegeta were granted with even more abilities, so I usually would just use them as I was playing. Is it a bit basic to play as Goku and Vegeta? Yeah. But are they OP as hell? Yeah. Am I going to keep playing as them? Hell yeah. I can't help but think that this part of the game was made for the die-hard Dragon Ball fans. When you do a lot of the side quests, you meet a ton of characters from the original series. And if you haven't read or watched it, you'll probably be left puzzled. I, for one, was pretty stoked to see so many of the old characters like Ader, Nam, Suno, and even Arale make an appearance in this game. And after completing certain side quests, you were given their emblems, which can be added to your community boards. Community boards are essentially used to give your characters an extra attribute as you progress through the game. I did like this feature mainly because I was able to hear the different dialogues when placing certain characters together. But behind all the nostalgia and all the funny dialogues is the side quests themselves. There's a lot of side quests. Like, a lot. Which, of course, isn't the issue. Oh no. This issue is how repetitive each quest was. You would have quests where you have to fight enemies, fishing and hunting, collect the Dragon Balls, and search for items. I hated searching for items. And while doing some of these quests, you are required to go to a completely different area. Why is this an issue, you may ask? because the amount of loading screens you have to sit through is horrendous. It's gotten to the point where I would just skip dialogue for certain quests just so I could speedrun the missions and receive the rewards given to me. Now I can see why I have so many hours on this game. But you can have the side quests without the main. If you're not familiar with the Dragon Ball franchise, that's okay because CC2 did a decent job when it came to retelling the story of DBZ. We're introduced to the main character of the series, Goku, alongside his friends and family who soon learn that he's actually a Saiyan from outer space, and his brother Raditz isn't exactly the type of brother you'd want to have. Throughout the story, you see the progression through the lens of many beloved characters and the different arcs they go through. Each arc had their moments where the animation was some of the best that I've seen from CC2, like the battle against Vegeta during the Saiyan saga, Goku's Super Saiyan transformation during the Frieza saga, Gohan's father-son Kamehameha during the Cell saga, and even Vegeta's final explosion during the Buu saga. It was scenes like those that showed how much the developers truly cared for the series and wanted to recreate the emotions that each moment had. Also, can we talk about the scene between Goku and Recoome? That had no reason to be one of the best cutscenes in the game. And even though CC2 managed to recreate the story as well as they could, there of course were some major missed opportunities. For example, during the Cell saga, they never show us a cutscene of Vegeta pulling off his final flash against Cell. Which I guess is somewhat understandable considering Cell ended up looking like this after getting hit. But we also don't see the fight between Super Trunks and Cell, which was also pretty disappointing. I wanted the chance to play as a beefy Trunks but never got the opportunity. Instead, for some scenes, they compacted them with the narrator just summarizing everything that happened. Logically speaking, sure, skip all the unnecessary scenes, but even still, the amount of dialogue you have to sit through is insane. I understand this is an action RPG, and I've played games like Persona where it's heavily focused on dialogue, but I'd be snoozing during some of the cutscenes because of how long the combos drag on. All in all though, I am glad CC2 didn't completely drop the ball when it came to telling the story. I mean, they've done the Storm series for crying out loud, so of course they couldn't mess it up. Revisiting a lot of the arcs really reminded me how far Goku and his friends have come from being a martial artist adventuring in search of the Dragon Balls. Great job CC2, but I still have a bit of complaining to do. Alright, so this game has some DLC. Sweet. But I feel like CC2 missed majorly with the first two. I'm just gonna be flat out honest with this one. This DLC was cheeks. It was buns. It was ass. And there's no doubt about it. This was nothing more than a training DLC. No retelling of the Battle of Gods story arc. Within this DLC, Goku and Vegeta are transported to Beerus' planet and are told about the Super Saiyan God legend, which in order for them to attain that form, they need to train with Whis. I feel like being able to train with Whis was extremely easy, especially since you are rewarded with items to help you level up exponentially. Once you've reached up to level 250, you can fight Beerus, which you don't have to be that level, but it definitely helps a lot since he's actually really strong. I think this is where the DLC shines the most because Beerus actually felt like a challenge for once. And once you've taken his health down to a certain level, you are given a spectacular cinematic sequence for both Goku and Vegeta. And I'm glad that CC2 didn't half-ass that part of the DLC. You were also given a new form, Super Saiyan God, alongside new movesets and also new moves. Remember when I said Goku and Vegeta are OP? That's why. But I still can't forgive the developers for skipping the Battle of God story completely. Beerus' planet was alright though. Unlike the first DLC, Resurrection F made an attempt at recreating the story. It was still bad, but at least there was something there. They skipped out on a lot of parts of the story, and some characters never even made an appearance. Instead, we are given the Ginyu Force. Yay! This time around, all the characters are involved in this DLC, and are split into two teams, Team Gohan and Team Piccolo. I did like this because it didn't just push them aside and let Goku and Vegeta run the show the entire time. And what they were able to do was fight off against hordes, which was a new feature specifically for this DLC. As for Goku and Vegeta, they were given a brand new transformation, Super Saiyan Blue, which you unlock after training again. But after unlocking the transformation, they get even stronger with even better skills, and the level cap increased to 300. So now they're even more OP. Now, we can't talk about Resurrection F without the main man himself, Frieza. The fight against Frieza was extremely fun with the cinematic sequences done so well. I think because this DLC had a story to it, along with new features and the involvement of other characters, it definitely was better than DLC 1. But it still wasn't what I was wanting from a DLC. But hey, we're still racking up on XP though. Now this was the DLC I wanted from the very beginning. Oh my goodness, this game did an excellent job at creating the story, writing the characters, the world, everything. What this DLC is pretty much the story of Trunks and his future timeline with the androids. I really like this because we are given a completely different tone for the game, along with seeing the interactions between Trunks and all the characters' future counterparts. The way they interpreted the androids as killing machines, and every time you were to fight them, you weren't ever able to technically beat them and was forced to run away. It really makes you feel hopeless, especially when your levels and resources are now gone. I loved the introduction of future Gohan and seeing how the relationship between him and Trunks was so impactful, because you could see how much belief and hope he had for Trunks. That's why when you reach that point in the story where Gohan now has to fight the androids on his own, CC2 makes it seem like you're winning the fight at first. But of course, that's not the case. At some point in the battle, Gohan can't even use any more skills. He's out of ki and is just powerless. I'm so glad they gave Gohan a last-ditch effort to fight the androids with such an amazing cinematic scene, but of course was unsuccessful. And Trunks finds him, thus causing him to transform. That's why when Trunks gets his revenge, it's so satisfying killing the androids, because it was his time to save the Earth. And of course, there's Cell, who gets smacked with ease. But it's not over with just that. The game adds onto the story with the Buu Saga for Trunks. And my goodness, did they do a great job with that as well. The fight between Trunks and Deborah was extremely well done, and the way they concluded it was phenomenal. And I'll be honest, I found myself enjoying this way more than some parts of the main story. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna say it. This was better than the main story. I don't care. I don't care. Whew. Now that was a long one. I'm not gonna lie, I probably had over a terabyte of footage because of how long the gameplay was. I'd say I had the most fun playing the main story, meeting older characters, exploring the world, and even playing DLC 3. This had to be one of CC2's best looking game, and the amount of content it provided was impressive. What I felt the game was lacking on was of course the content after the story mode. They definitely should have done something else rather than the boring side quests, like maybe adding the movie characters, like Cooler, Bojack, and even Broly to the mix. Yes, it would make the game even longer than it already is, and it would most likely cost CC2 more money to produce those different story arcs, but it's much better than the new character they brought into the game. Banyu? Forget her. She's irrelevant. Moving on. They did bring in Toa and Mira from the game's universe and Android 21 from Fighters, but like, their appearance was kind of like, oh snap, it's Toa and Mira from Xenoverse. Oh, it's Android 21 from Fighters. Anyways, I feel like the game had a lot of major missed opportunities, and it's almost as if near the end, the developers really didn't care about the game. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't have fun playing. CC2 truly are gifted when it comes to storytelling and creating artistic cinematic scenes. If they were to make a sequel, I'd like to see how much they would improve upon this game. But should you get this game? If you really like the Dragon Ball franchise, then by all means, buy it and try it for yourself. It really is an experience that you shouldn't really miss out. But if you're just looking for a chill action RPG, then I'd say wait for the price to drop. I've already said what I liked and disliked about this game, but now I ask you guys. Have you already played Dragon Ball Z Kakarot? If so, what are your thoughts on the game and the DLC? If you haven't, have you played any of the previous games before? Should I make a review on them on this channel? Let me know in the comments down below. With that being said, if you made it this far, thanks again for watching the video. Make sure to leave a like, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, take care everybody.